Hi everyone, I'm Jake and this video is going to take you through the standard installation for Cytronex on your bike. We'll start by unboxing the kit, and inside you'll find the Cytronex bottle box, which contains your cabling and the Cytronex bottle. You have a Cytronex charger, and finally the Cytronex motor wheel. I'll just show you what's inside the Cytronex bottle box. You have a Cytronex bottle holder with custom made cabling for your bicycle, Cytronex bottle, and underneath everything you have all the zip ties you need to complete your installation. So to put your Cytronex wheel into your bike, you want the motor cable on the left hand side. The square tab washers need to be facing downwards and the flat sides of the axle need to match your dropouts. Loosen the wheel nuts slightly so that you can put the wheel into your bike. Tighten them up by hand. And then using a 17mm spanner, you can do them up nice and tight. If you have a torque wrench, we recommend a torque setting of 35 Newton meters, and then you can press the dust caps onto the wheel nuts on both sides. To install the holder onto your frame, first remove any bolts from your down tube. On the Cytronex bottle holder, there is a little carriage nut on the back. Undo that and install this directly to your frame. Once the bottle holder has been installed onto your frame, the motor cable needs to be on the left side of your bike, the boost button needs to be on the right and hanging over the right hand grip, and the sensor cable needs to drape on the right hand side of your down tube. To fit the Cytronex boost button onto your bike, you need to use two of the shorter zip ties that are 4mm wide. You want to put them through the back of the boost button and tighten them to your handlebar. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that no cables of the bike are caught between the boost button and the handlebar. Take one of the long zip ties with two clips on them and put around your down tube. Make sure you haven't gone around any cabling on your frame. The large clip needs to be on the left side and the small clip on the right hand side. The motor cable goes into the large clip and the boost button into the small one. To connect your motor to the rest of the cabling, you need to line the two arrows up on both sides of the connector and push fully together. The flat side of this connector should meet the arrow on the lower side. You can then take two zip ties with the large clips on them, attach those to your fork and secure the motor cable away. Before installing your Cytronex sensor, you need to make sure your chainstay is nice and clean. The sensor itself has a bolt here and you want to ensure that's about halfway along the sliding groove. The tape on the back here needs the red piece removed, and the sensor itself needs to go over the left side underneath your bottom bracket and run towards your sprockets. When you have the sprocket almost touching the sensor head, you want to attach one of the thick short zip ties, and be careful that you haven't gone around any of the gear cables, and just attach loosely in place. To finish setting up your Cytronex sensor, support the bracket and tilt the sensor head upwards. Use the supplied Cytronex sensor spacer, which just clips on the end like that. Drop the sensor down. Using a 2mm Allen key, adjust this bolt here so that the sensor spacer is touching the tooth. You can then add a second zip tie, again being careful not to catch any cabling. Pull that firmly. What we can do now is use the pliers to secure these in place fully. Cut those off. And then use our Allen key again, just to check the position is still correct, and then remove the sensor spacer. To get rid of any slack in your sensor cabling, you need to use 2 of the longer zip ties with the large clips. We're going to put one here on the chainstay. The position of these will vary a little bit depending on each bike, but the aim is to get rid of the slack in each case. That will just clip in. We need another one on the down tube here. And remember, on the down tube, just be careful that you're not overlapping any of your other cables on the bike. And to remove any excess slack, this can just be slid downwards towards the bottom bracket. The last thing to check with your sensor cabling is that the cable itself is not pulled taut. There has to be enough slack in the cable so the sensor head can be tilted out the way and that the spring loading mechanism works fully. A long press on the left side of the Cytronex boost button will put the bike into pedal setup mode when the white and blue LEDs are shown. You can use this mode to check whether the sensor position is correct, because as you pedal forward, the light will stay constantly green if the setup is correct. To exit this mode, simply press anywhere on the boost button. As with all zip ties on your bike, you need to use a set of pliers to pull them nice and tight and snip the tails off. If you've ordered a Cytronex kit with lights, as well as the headlights and the rear light, you'll get a set of extra zip ties, a black PTFE tube, and a bag of additional fixings. To install the Cytronex headlight, the usual position is down here by the fork crown. If you don't have a location to install the light, you will need the Cytronex handlebar headlight mount up here. In this case, there's a bolt already in position, so I'm going to get this out of the way. Going to take the Cytronex headlight, bolt's going to go through, make sure the mudguard is still connected, and then I can take the washer and the nut to secure that in position. Then tighten this in place. As you do so, make sure you adjust the headlight position. And you want that nice and snug. What you can do here as well is take the female connectors and plug that into the opposing male connector for the headlight. To install the rear light wire, you need to feed it through the PTFE tube. Do that first. Then you can take 4 of the long zip ties. You can use 3 depending on the frame. And just strap these to the top tube. Again, making sure that the zip ties don't go over any of the existing cabling on the frame. Adjust that slightly. Onto the seat post, you can mount the rear light. Pull that firm for now. Then what we'll need to do is trim the rear light. Before cutting the rear light wire, you need to make sure you've got enough slack in the light cable here. To check how much slack you need, turn the handlebars and check if any of the wires get taut. If you need more cabling, gently pull it through the PTFE tube. To cut the rear light wire to size, you need to look at where the light is mounted on your bike. Leave a little bit of slack so you've got room to make minor adjustments if needed. You need to strip 30mm away from the cable. And then on the individual cores inside, you need to take off 8mm. To connect the light wire into your rear light, you need to take 2 of the black plastic feet from the additional fixings bag and connect these onto the light wires. These will then press into the metal legs on the underside of the rear light. As with all zip ties on your bike, you need to use a set of pliers to pull them nice and tight and snip the tails off. Take your Cytronex bottle, connect it into the holder, and to check whether your lights are working, simply hold the boost button down on the right hand side for 2 seconds until the yellow and the white LEDs come on and release. In this case, both our lights are working, but if your headlight doesn't work, simply switch the connector around here and then check your rear light. And if that's not working, switch the red and the blue wires around here.